This is Community Forum, a public affairs presentation of Mackenzie River Broadcasting. Each week, we learn about issues affecting our community with your host, Tracy Berry.
Even when its doors were closed in the early days of the pandemic, the Eugene Public Library was busy. Big online presence, a lot of services people could access remotely, and it's still busy now. This morning on Community Forum, we sit down with the Director of Library Services, Will O'Hearn. Will, thanks so much for joining us.
Been an interesting 18 months for the public library. I think people are realizing just how valuable it is in the community.
Absolutely. It's been a unique time, especially as a public serving institution. It's been trying and also a lot of opportunities for us during this time to try new things and find different ways to serve our community. We serve over 170,000 folks, all of Eugene proper. So we serve everybody in the community. We also serve all students from Bethel and 4J. That's something new we've recently done. We actually started it before the pandemic, but have recently instituted it during the pandemic, which has had its own challenges, to say the least. The schools have been great to work with, and we were able to get 1,600 students cards last year, and we're growing the program this year and expect double or triple that involvement. So something that's happened during the pandemic that we've had to implement. It's been unique challenges, but ones that are very fruitful, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, so many parents were having to school their kids at home last year, and libraries provided a lot of resources for people who maybe hadn't been in that position before.
Absolutely. Yeah, we, in addition, we have books, of course. I think that's the one thing that people know us for, but there's a number of other things that we have, online to help people. One thing that we heard from folks that people really enjoyed was we have a service called Brain Fuse. It actually is free online tutoring, skill building resources. So you could actually go live online from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. every single day, Monday through Sunday, and you could find a real live person on the other end who's a qualified tutor to be able to help you out in that moment. So especially for parents who maybe were a little rusty with their algebra, it was very helpful for them to have an opportunity to have an expert talk to them rather than fumbling around and looking at XY charts and filling in for X and all those different things like that.
Was algebra the most popular topic? I'm curious.
I don't know what exactly it was, but I'm sure math was probably one, because if you don't use it, you lose it, I find, with math. It comes back quickly, but I find myself going, how do I do this again? So that was something that we really saw that was popular and people really enjoyed, is learning about that, because it was not only, again, the tutoring, but it also had a number of skill building things. So for folks who were doing some homeschooling or helping support that, it also had things like flashcards set in there. And so it was really helpful for folks as well.
If we've learned anything during the pandemic, well, we've learned many things during the pandemic, but one of the things we've learned during the pandemic is the importance of good internet and being able to access information, whether it's for school or for work. You've embarked in a really good project to try and give people Wi-Fi as they need it.
Yeah, so we just recently released that we have 250 hotspots available for circulation. So that means anyone in our community can come on down if they're available. Pretty soon here, you may have to probably put one on hold. You can check it out for 3 weeks, and it has unlimited high-speed data on it. So it just gets from the cell towers, just grabs that data from there, just like on your phone, something like that. And you have ability to stream, ability to be able to do Zoom interviews. I've done a number of them with the hotspot. And we knew that was something that was really important for folks during this time. It really feels like something at this point that is essential for folks. You can't go to work. A lot of folks can't work without the internet, to go to school, to get the latest news or health, economic access to your bank accounts, things like that. And even just as simply as connecting with your loved ones. I know we heard when we reopened our building last year, back in August, I heard countless stories of people who said, I haven't even got a chance to check my bank account. You'd hear these stories of people who said, it was in better condition than I thought it would be. And I said, you didn't have access to your bank account. So they really depended on the library for information. Someone told them they were excited to be able to share with their family that they were still doing okay. They didn't have the internet, and they depended on Facebook as a way to connect with people. And so they were able to check in maybe once or twice during that first 6-month period. And then they were happy to say they could do more check-ins there. So really, we realized what a big difference this was, and what we could do to kind of help shore up that gap.
Well, so as things have reopened, I'm curious, is 250 hotspots on loan going to be enough?
So we also have another 250 that we're putting aside particularly for vulnerable populations, because that's something that something we really want to do is target folks that we know really need that information. While it's important for everyone to be able to do that, we want to work with folks who may have obstacles, such as the unhoused or folks with lower socioeconomic status, or BIPOC individuals, all sorts of people who may not be able to get the access that they traditionally are able to get. Before, you could come to the library, use those things. Now it's a little bit more limited if you even can come, if you have health concerns, or if, a couple hours here and there, because it's more difficult to be in the library, just in the sense that it's harder for folks to be in the library just for the length of time. People have concerns about that. So we wanted to find a way when we couldn't have them come to us for information, we wanted to get it to them. So that was really important for us to do. So we're working with other organizations in town that target those folks who have had barriers to information access. So instead of them coming to us, we were able to find a way to bring the information to them.
Well, and if people haven't been to a library in a long time, maybe even years, as you mentioned, it's not just books, although you have an impressive collection, but talk about some of the physical things that are there for people to connect with and check out and stuff like that.
So in addition to our hotspots, we're actually doing something called it's a library of things. We have a makerspace currently, but it's closed due to the small nature of it.
And a makerspace, for people not familiar with that?
Yeah, a makerspace is a place where you can access things, where you can, in short, make things, create things. That can be things like 3D prints, CNC machines, or as simple as just sewing or button making. In addition to that, it's not just physical items, but you can also create. We had someone who actually created, before, of course, the pandemic, they were able to create a whole musical album here at the library. People come and make animation. They do all sorts of different things, video editing, all sorts of different things at the library. So it's not just making physical items, even though that's a part of it. It's really about creating, giving people the resources that they can share. So in the fact that we didn't have those available, we thought, how could we get it to people? Well, we started looking for the things that we could check out, and we've started checking them out to people. For example, one of the things that's very popular for us is, I mentioned our button maker. That's something we've been checking out quite a bit. One thing we've been particularly impressed with its ability is actually a slide. It copies slides like your old, slides you would see. People really like those, and we have a number of holds on that. I think we have.
So it's basically people who are, someday I'm going to scan my slides and get them digital. They're doing
Correct.
that.
Correct. And so people who were like before, you couldn't see your neighbors or your parents' slides of their trip they went to wherever they went to Tahiti or whatever. Well, don't worry, it's coming back now. They'll be able to show you those now. So hopefully that's good news for people and not bad news, having to watch some of those slides, things like that. But yeah, we have a loom. We have a number of other different items people can check out, a sewing machine as well. So really popular, and we've been impressed with the level of folks that have really wanted those items, and we're looking at how we could potentially expand that as well.
If people go to your website for the Eugene Public Library, a lot of the reopening was kind of gradual, slowly expanding, but check regularly, because there's always something new, it seems like, every week.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always pushing to be able to open as much service. Kind of our mantra during this time has been, how do we serve the community as much as we possibly can safely? And we underline the safely because it's really important for us to keep our whole community safe. We all recognize we're all connected at this time, and we want to do our part to keep the community really safe. And we get a lot of comments from folks that say, this is my first time coming out in the pandemic in months and months, and I feel really safe in your facility. I think we do a really great job keeping people feeling safe and making sure that we're distancing, wearing masks, all those different things to keep our whole community safe, because it's really important for us to be a good community member, as well as a place that offers a plethora of services for our community as well, too.
One of the things that's always been a strength and was pre-pandemic, and you're starting to bring it back, you have different activities and events and entertainment and for kids or teens or adults. So some of those are specific, some for the whole family.
Yeah, so we'll have online book groups. People still want to talk about books, and doing that online is something we continue to do. Our story time, we actually went out in the parks. We went out and got into a number of different spaces. We have some on site here, very safe, where we were able to have it so everyone was at least 6 feet spaced apart, where we had the pods, families that were able to do that. We went out to the parks and did that, and that was something that was very, very successful. I think after and this is the beauty of it, it's what you can do to continue to, hey, what's the good things we learned from the pandemic? And that, after we hopefully get past this sooner rather than later, I think that's something we're going to continue to do, is get out in the community and bring those out there. We were able to have our first hybrid program, which was both in person and online. The 27th annual Teddy Bear Picnic, not even a pandemic can stop it. So we were able to have that online here too, and in person, which was a lot of fun. If you watch the recording, it's on there. It's a ton of fun we had. We have, poetry readings, all sorts of things. So all our traditional types of programs and services, while not quite as many as we had before, we still have a number of those available, and check our website for those as well.
I was going to mention too, for the website, if you have a library card for the Eugene Public Library, some of the resources you have there, from ebooks to periodicals and databases and video streams, and it's amazing. It's a universe out there.
I'm so happy you said that, and I feel like the dorkiest guy saying I'm excited about databases, but that's really what they are. We have so many different ones, and I'm so glad you said that, because I just looked at them, and even when I look at it, I know about these all, but I'm just really impressed with all you can do. We have something called All Data, where you can access basically the Chilton books, where you can repair your car and truck. If you're paying for an Ancestry.com license, you shouldn't, because you should be coming down to the library. It's available for free here, full access. Library Edition, I actually believe, is more in depth than the traditional one. I mentioned Brain Fuse, Consumer Reports. We have Flipster, which is popular magazines you can get digitally. We have a number of ebook and e-audiobook. Audiobooks especially have gone more towards a digital format. We see that. So Hoopla is really excellent for that. It also has comics and movies on it. And we do have two streaming movie services. People are always surprised that we have a streaming movie service at all with Hoopla, but we actually have something called Canopy as well, where you can stream thousands of movies. LinkedIn Learning was formerly called lynda.com. It's really, really high end. It's one of my personal favorite ones. It has high quality instructional videos of, it's not just like Bob from down the street doing a YouTube video. It's really someone who's in-depth and knowledgeable about a number of areas like business skills and software, like Microsoft Office is a really popular one. Excel is what we hear, so you can land that new promotion or job. Web design, so if you have a small business and you want to get online and start selling there, being able to pivot yourself, you can it'll walk you through step-by-step how to design your own website and all that. In addition to music, photo, video editing, 3D design, things like that. If you want to learn languages, we have Mango Languages. So if you want to learn something or brush up and build on your existing skills, hopefully for a trip sometime in the future here. Newsbank, you can actually get the latest copy of today's paper. I looked online and we have literally today's paper from the 22nd. So it is the full scanned copy. It is not just text. It is the paper as it looks today. And we mentioned earlier about kids and supporting kids. It's not just school-age kids, but what we found during the pandemic is parents were tired of reading the same book over and over to their child. I must have read Sleepy Kitty like literally hundreds of times by now. So if you're tired of that, give yourself a break. You've earned it. You can use something called Tumble Books, which reads your kids' stories along with sometimes animated stories as well. And there's just thousands and thousands of different ebooks and e-audiobooks on our library to go as well.
Well, and I was thinking, I've got an older relative who, when I said to her, well, get a library card because then you can just check out ebooks because she loves to read. It was like I had given her an entire country. She was just, a couple times a week, I think she was downloading and reading a book, and she was having to stay home a lot. And even not staying home, she enjoyed being able, if she's traveling on the road, she's got an ebook. She can read right on her tablet, which is great.
They're awesome for that. I convinced my mom to do that because she was fighting it tooth and nail. And I would say about 30-40% of her books, she's an avid reader. It's probably no surprise. With her son as a librarian. She's an avid reader, and she gets about 30-40% of her books only digitally now. So I'm really impressed by her ability to pivot there. And she's been fought it tooth and nail and has embraced it fully. So I would definitely encourage folks, if they're scared about that, they can always contact our librarians. We're more than happy to help you on the phone, in person, be able to access that. And once you get it and kind of figure out your path, it's pretty easy to do, even though it can be intimidating up front. And we want to help you through that as well too. So
yeah, your librarians and staff are so patient and really able to talk people through in person, by phone, online.
Top notch. They're just the best. And even if you can't come down to the library, if you need a card, we can actually do something called an online use only card, where if you can't come down to the library, but you still want to access some of those resources I talked about, as long as you're a Eugene resident, you still can get a card on the phone. You give us a call. You can still use all those resources with never even having to come down, and you can still place holds. So if you decide you do feel comfortable enough to come physically to us, you can still place those holds, pick them up, and get a full service card there just with your ID. It's a great opportunity. And you're right, our staff is an incredible group of folks who have reimagined and pivoted time and time again. And I'm just always impressed with all the innovation and ideas they come up with and the kindness they show to our community and the care.
For people who already had library cards, I know there was a period where you couldn't really do renewals last year and just extended the cards. Where are we at with that now? I suspect I'm probably due or overdue on renewing mine.
Well, if you feel comfortable, come on down. We'd love to see you. If you want, we can renew your card over the phone. It would be an online use only card, but you can still put books on hold there. If you're picking up books, you can just flash again your ID. We can confirm your data, make sure you're still a good citizen within Eugene here, and you'll be able to go ahead and get that taken care of. So there's lots of different options for you to be able to continue to access our resources. And our goal is to make it as uninterrupted as possible, because we've heard time and time again how important the library has been for people. I've heard it called a lifeline. I don't know how many times that they say I don't know how I would have survived the pandemic without us as the library. And I think it goes back and forth. I can't tell you again how many countless times I've heard our staff say, I'm really struggling, but then I hear a patron come in and tell me, one of our folks who come in and tell me how much the library means to them, and then they find value in that and say, it's really important what I'm doing to help them move forward. So it's a great symbiotic relationship, and one with a lot of mutual love and respect for each other.
I was thinking that you have a terrific Friends of the Eugene Public Library group. You have the Eugene Public Library Foundation. Those organizations are essential to keeping the library going and expanding its offerings.
Two of the things we talked about right here was getting all students cards and the hotspots was actually helped by both the foundation and the Friends have helped with the hotspots as well too. They partnered together. The Friends actually had a book sale, and it was the first one they've had in a long time. It was a little smaller than their big old book sale they have every year, but they had $1 nonfiction books, and it was very popular. Even though I work in a library, I got to tell you, Tracy, I still I can't help but buy books myself. So I'm like, I literally work in a library. I can get these for free, and yet I can't help with the appeal and the draw of continuing to add to my collection. So yeah, they're instrumental organizations. We absolutely couldn't do it without them. Our summer reading program, where we were able to give away more than 10,000 books this year to adults, teens, and kids. Adult books were kind of a newer thing for us, and we were really impressed with how much the adults really like that. They wanted a cool book as well, just as much as the kids do, that they can keep. So we couldn't have done it without them. They helped fund a lot of those things that we talked about there, those databases, those programs we talked about. Both the Friends and the Foundation were absolutely instrumental in providing those resources, and we couldn't do it without them.
People can donate cash. They can donate books, which either get sold in the book sale to raise money, or I guess some of them you may be able to add to your collection too. And increasingly, as things reopen, I guess you're going to be able to have volunteers again.
We do have volunteers currently. So we have more holds than ever because people want to get in and get out. So that's the way we've pivoted. We've really worked down on our time to get holds out as quickly as possible. We've really streamlined that service. And so if you're interested in coming down, we have a number of different things. If you're interested in volunteering for the library, we'd love to have you come down. So we're always accepting volunteers, and we'd love to have you be part of the team as well too. So if you're interested in that, feel free to contact the library. We'll get you in touch.
The main library is at 10th and Olive in downtown Eugene, but you do have some branches.
Yep, we do have our Sheldon Library on Coburg Road there, and our Bethel Library on Barger there, right across from the Winco. The Sheldon one is in the same plaza as that Safeway over there, and they have many of, if not most of the same services we have. You can put an item on hold there, pick it up. You can put that library of thing on hold there. They're basically full service access. They all have the computers available at every location. So they're just a great way for everyone in the neighborhood, the community, to be able to access it however they feel comfortable. So I would implore you to go to either one of our 3 locations, and you'll still get that great customer service and kind, knowledgeable folks to help you out. No matter where you go, you're going to have that lovely experience. So please check us out. If you haven't come seen us in a while, we really would love to see you.
You can tell you're excited about working at the library.
I would say that's an understatement. In all seriousness, we're laughing about this, but I feel really, really fortunate every day that I help people both directly and indirectly every single day. And I never take that for granted. So it's pretty easy for me to get out of bed in the morning knowing that I get to help people every single day. And I'd love to see all y'all come down to the library or access the library online or on the phone. So however you want to use the library, we want to help you use it however you want to.
Will O'Hearn from the Eugene Public Library, thanks for being our guest this morning on Community Forum.
Community Forum is a public affairs presentation of Mackenzie River Broadcasting. If you have questions, comments, or your organization is interested in taking part in a future program, we'd like to hear from you. Send your letter to Mackenzie River Broadcasting, Attention Public Affairs, 925 Country Club Road, Suite 200, Eugene, Oregon 97401. Thanks for joining us. Tune in again next week.